So before you work on exercise 11H, we're now into what trigonometry can be used for. Okay, this is really what it's all about in its first instance. It's about finding the length of one side of a triangle or finding an angle in a triangle. Now to start with, we're going to be using just the sine function, and we're going to be finding a side length. So what you will need to do when you're working through your questions is replace whichever part is different in the question, but follow the same sort of ideas and follow the same strategies that I'm using. Now the first thing I'm going to do, and this is something for really when we have different ratios being used, sine, cos and tan. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the two sides that I've got in this right angled triangle. Here's my angle, 35 degrees. And this side is the opposite side, and this side is the hypotenuse. So that tells me straight away that I need to use sine, because sine is opposite and hypotenuse. So I'm going to start by writing that down. I'm going to say sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse from SOHCAHTOA. Then I now put in the different bits of information that are in the question. So we have sine. The angle theta is actually 35 degrees. So sine 35 equals the opposite, which is that side A, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 12. Now it's just an equation that I have to solve. Okay, so sine 35 equals A over 12. If I want to be able to find the value of A, I need to get A by itself. And on the right hand side at the moment, we have A divided by 12. So we times both sides by 12, and that will leave A over here on its own. So I've times the right hand side by 12, so we do the same to the left. And we just write 12 sine 35, as you were doing in the exercise prior to the last one. Okay, so A equals 12 sine 35, and we type that into our calculator, and we get a value of 6.88. 6.882917,236, but to three significant figures, 6.88 is fine. Now there is one final stage here, and that is to go back and look at the triangle and make sure that your answer is likely to be correct. So as I look at it, I can see the hypotenuse is 12. My answer is 6.88. I know that sine of 30 would be a half, so if this was a 30-degree angle, then A would be 6. But obviously it's bigger than that, so I would expect A to be a little bit bigger, and 6.88 looks about right. So that's how we would find the side length of A. Now, before you sort of go gung-ho into the exercise, here's another one. This time we're trying to find the hypotenuse, and it's a little bit more technical, but the same principles apply. First of all, the angle now has moved, it's up here, but this side is still the opposite side, so that's fine. And this side, as we said, is opposite the right angle, that's the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse means I'm still using sine. So again, sine of theta equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. That's the first thing I'll write down. Next, I'm going to write in the information that I've got. So we've got sine 52 equals the opposite, which is 8, divided by the hypotenuse, which they've cleverly called h. So we're now in the same scenario. We just have to work out what h is. Unfortunately, we can't just do it in one step. Remember, firstly, that sine 52 is just a value. And if I gave you an equation, look at this equation on this side, if I gave you an equation that was 10 equals, I don't know, 50 divided by x, what would you do? Well, the first step would be to times both sides by x, and that would give you 10x equals 50, and then divide by the number in front of x to give you x equals 50 over 10, which of course is 5. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing. Although we're not going to work out what sine 52 is yet, it's worth bearing in mind that it's just a value, just like having the value 10 on the left hand side. Okay, actually, just so you know, sine 52 is 0.788010753. But as I say, we're not going to worry about that. What we're going to do first is times both sides by h, which gives us h times sine 52 equals 8. And then we divide by that sine 52. So we get 8 over sine 52. And then it's a calculator exercise. So 8 divided by sine 52, press equals, and we get 10.152 ... which I will put as 10.2 to the 3 significant figures. Okay, and then again we do that final step, which is go back and check that it looks about right. Well, firstly, it's bigger than 8 centimetres, which is good. It has to be bigger than 8 because it's the hypotenuse. So 10.2 centimetres, which I didn't pop in there, so maybe we should. Let's just quickly get rid of that. 10.2 centimetres looks about right. Okay, now as I say, when you're doing this, just go back and check which one it is which one of these two examples most resembles the question you're doing, and then just go back through it, putting in the right values for your question. I believe in this exercise you're going to find that you're using sine, but do that mental check first. Just make sure it is the opposite and the hypotenuse. If it isn't, then you need to identify which of the other ratios it is that you need to use, but I suspect you're going to find that it's the opposite and the hypotenuse. Good luck. Any problems, do let me know. Otherwise, crack through the exercise. All the best.